Some people don't realize they were standing next to the sun until their whole world turns cold. They thought they could live without you, thought your presence was just another passing flame, a warmth they could take for granted. But now they shiver in the absence of your glow, drowning in the darkness they once laughed at. Because here's the hard truth. Your light wasn't just warmth, it was survival. And when you left, they weren't just left alone. They were left powerless. They underestimated you. They mistook your kindness for weakness, your love for a leash, your presence for something they could replace. But how do you replace the irreplaceable? How do you swap out the sun and still expect to see? The answer is simple. You don't. And that's why they're suffering. That's why nothing makes sense anymore. That's why no matter how much they chase distractions, your absence is a wound that refuses to close. Before we dive into this truth, take a second, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop number 77 in the comments. YouTube needs to know that this message belongs in front of every chosen one, because the more we react, the more we make sure those who need this wake-up call receive it. And trust me, this is a wake-up call they never saw coming. Now let's get something straight. You were never ordinary. You were never just another face in their life. You were their light, and people don't realize how much they depend on light until they're trapped in a world that no longer shines. They thought they were winning when they cut you off, thought they could move forward without you, thought you were just an option, not the foundation. But now they are learning the cruelest lesson of all, what it means to lose a chosen one. Because you weren't just there for decoration. Your presence wasn't just about companionship or convenience. You carried power, you carried wisdom, you carried something that made everything around you better. And the moment they betrayed you, dismissed you, abandoned you, they didn't just lose a person. They lost their protection, they lost their peace, they lost their path. You see, chosen ones don't just exist in people's lives. They elevate them. You were the reason they had clarity, the reason things worked out, the reason blessings followed them like a shadow. And now that favor is gone. Now they sit in a world that feels smaller, colder, emptier. And the worst part? They can't blame anyone but themselves. They thought they were escaping you, but all they did was escape their own destiny. They didn't realize you were the bridge to their next level, and by destroying that bridge, they destroyed their own future. And that's why regret haunts them like a ghost. That's why they watch from the sidelines, unable to reach what was once within arm's length. That's why, no matter how much they pretend, they feel it deep in their soul. They didn't just lose you, they lost the best version of themselves. Because the truth is, when a chosen one leaves, they don't come back. When a chosen one walks away, they don't just close the door, they lock it, seal it, and watch it fade into dust. And that's what terrifies them the most. That's what keeps them up at night. That's why, no matter how much they try to replace you, nothing feels the same. And thank you. Yes, you, the chosen one. Whether this is your first time here or you've been a rock-solid supporter of this movement, your presence and super gifts are what fuel this mission forward. Your light is unstoppable, your energy is unmatched, and your elevation is inevitable. They may have tried to dim you, but they only revealed just how powerful you truly are. If you're ready to step into your power, rise above the regret they now sit in, and walk in the authority of your divine calling, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop 77 in the comments. Because isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. And now Now, it's time to embrace your separation as the foundation of your transformation. So let's break it down step by step. Let's dissect the regret, the shame, the karma that has wrapped itself around them like a curse they can't escape. Because if there's one thing a chosen one never has to do, it's seek revenge. Life does that for you. Let's get started. Number 1. They took your light for granted. Now they live in shadows. A candle doesn't beg to be noticed until it's blown out and the room turns black. They thought they didn't need you, thought they could stand on their own, shine on their own, win without you. But now they sit in the dark, cold, empty, searching for the same light they spent so much time taking for granted. And the worst part, they can't find it anywhere. Because here's the truth, they were never the source. They were just borrowing your glow. Everything that made them feel safe, seen, successful. That wasn't because of them, that was because of you. But they were too blind, too arrogant, too comfortable to realize it. Until now. Until they look around and see that without you, everything has changed. And you know what stings the most? They did this to themselves. You didn't take anything from them. You simply left. You simply stopped carrying them. You simply let them sit in the reality they created. And now it's eating them alive. You see, chosen ones don't just exist in people's lives. We elevate them. You weren't just a presence, you were a power source. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how people's lives seem to shift when you leave? It's not a coincidence. It's cause and effect. It's what happens when you remove divine favor from ungrateful hands. Look at history. Look at the stories of the greatest minds, the rarest souls, the ones who carried a presence that changed everything. Look at how people treated them. They mocked them, rejected them, tried to erase them. And then they had to sit with the pain of knowing they had something great and let it slip through their fingers. Think about Nikola Tesla, a genius, a visionary, a man who saw the future before the world was ready. And what did they do? They stole from him, dismissed him, pushed him aside, only to later realize that everything they now depend on came from his mind. But by the time they saw it, it was too late. Think about Van Gogh, a master, a force, a light that shined too bright for people to handle, mocked in life, worshipped in death. They ignored his genius while he was here, only to regret it when he was gone. And now, your enemies are in that same position, watching, regretting, realizing you were the blessing they never appreciated. Because that's the thing about light. It doesn't beg to be seen. It just shines. And the ones too foolish to recognize it, they suffer the consequences of their own blindness. You see, they thought they were doing something when they dismissed you, thought they were teaching you a lesson, thought their absence would break you. But what they didn't realize, you were never standing in their light. They were standing in yours. They thought the world would be the same without you, that the doors would still open, that the same blessings would still flow, that their life would continue to thrive even after cutting you off. But now, reality has slapped them in the face. Because here's what they never understood. When a chosen one steps into your life, they don't just bring companionship, they bring favor, protection, elevation. And when they leave, that favor leaves too. Think about it. How many times have you seen people fall apart after you walked away? How many times have you noticed how quickly the tables turn when your energy is no longer in the room? That's not arrogance. That's awareness. That's understanding the power of who you are. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your light. Some people only learn through loss. Some people only wake up when the darkness is all they have left. And right now, they're wide awake. They see it now. They feel it. That emptiness, that lack of inspiration, that void where your presence used to be. And no matter what they try to do to fill it, it doesn't work. Because you weren't just anyone. You were the one. And now they have to live with the consequences of treating the sun like just another flame. They thought they could replace you, but how do you replace something that never had an equal? So let them sit in their regret. Let them wrestle with the weight of their own foolishness. Because you're not looking back. You're not explaining yourself. You're not giving them another chance to drain you. You are a chosen one. You are divinely favored. You are the light. And from now on, you shine for those who see your value, not for those who only recognize it once it's gone. Number 2, they thought dimming your light would make theirs shine. Now they're invisible. Jealousy doesn't make people glow. It just makes them look smaller in the dark. They thought they could erase you. Thought if they dimmed your shine, they'd finally be the one people noticed. Thought if they whispered enough lies, played enough mind games, and sabotaged your every move, they'd come out on top. But now they've faded into the background. No one cares. No one sees them. No one remembers their name. Because the only time they ever mattered was when they were standing next to you. They built their entire identity around trying to outshine you, compete with you, steal from you. But what they never understood, greatness isn't stolen, it's built. And you were never competing with them. You were too busy becoming unstoppable. They hated how effortlessly people were drawn to you, hated how your presence alone shifted the atmosphere, how your energy made rooms come alive, how your vision turned nothing into something. So instead of growing, instead of learning, instead of stepping up and becoming great in their own right, they tried to dim you. Maybe it was slandering your name behind closed doors. Maybe it was undermining your achievements, laughing at your dreams, planting seeds of doubt in your mind. Maybe they tried to drain you, distract you, manipulate you into believing you weren't as powerful as you really are. But here's the truth. Their plan was doomed from the start. Because real light, it doesn't depend on permission. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't shrink just because insecure people feel uncomfortable. And now, the same people who tried to erase you are realizing something they never expected. Without you, they have no presence at all. Look at history. Look at every great figure who walked in their purpose, shined despite the opposition, refused to shrink. How many of them were betrayed by jealous, insecure people who thought they could steal the throne? The same people who laughed at Oprah when she was fired now wish they had never doubted her. The same industry that tried to blackball Tyler Perry now watches as he owns his own empire, creating opportunities for generations to come. And just like them, you were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to play small so fragile egos could feel safe. You were never meant to hand your power over to those who secretly feared you from the start. And now they're paying the price. They thought removing you from the equation would make them the center of attention. But the moment you walked away, everything about them became forgettable. Because what they never realized was this: you weren't just shining for yourself. Your presence made them visible. They only mattered because they stood in your glow. And now they're nothing. They watch from the sidelines as you continue to rise, as doors open for you while they stand in the same spot, as your influence grows while their relevance fades into the background. They thought tearing you down would elevate them, but instead, It exposed them. Because the truth is, light isn't the enemy of darkness. Light exposes darkness. And you exposed them. You exposed their insecurities, their lack of originality, their dependence on your energy. You exposed the fact that without stealing, mimicking and manipulating, they have nothing of their own. And now they live in a self-made prison of irrelevance, watching you, knowing they will never stand where you stand, knowing that no matter how much they try to imitate, they will never duplicate the power you naturally carry. And that is their karma. They thought you were their rival, but in reality, you were their only lifeline. And now they're drowning in the emptiness they once tried to leave you in. So let them sit in it. Let them feel it. Let them wrestle with the reality that they spent all their time trying to dim you, only to end up fading into nothing themselves. And you shine brighter than ever. Number 3, they betrayed you. Now they're haunted by their own reflection. Mirrors don't lie, and when there's no light, all you see is your own darkness staring back at you. They thought they could betray you and walk away untouched, thought they could stab you in the back, step over your loyalty, and keep moving like you never existed, like your presence didn't elevate them, like your wisdom didn't guide them, like your love didn't shield them from their own demons. But what they didn't realize, betrayal doesn't end when they walk away. It follows them. It lingers in their thoughts, creeps into their dreams, and stares back at them every time they look in the mirror. Because you can leave a chosen one, but you can never outrun the truth. And now they have to live with what they've done. You see, betrayal isn't just about what they did to you. It's about what they lost in the process. And make no mistake, they lost everything. They lost your protection, your energy, your favor, your guidance. But more than that, they lost themselves. Because here's the thing about chosen ones. You don't just exist in people's lives. You reflect back to them who they truly are. You were their mirror. When they stood next to you, they felt stronger, wiser, more important. Not because they were, but because your presence amplified their potential. But now that mirror is shattered. Now they sit alone with the reality of who they really are. Weak, empty, lost. No more distractions, no more pretending, just them, staring into the darkness of their own choices. And the worst part, they can't escape it. No matter how far they run, no matter how many fake smiles they force, no matter how much they try to convince themselves they won, the truth is always there. Because betrayal doesn't just ruin relationships, it ruins souls. Look at history. Look at every traitor who thought they could move forward after betraying something great. Did they ever truly win? Even in modern times, how many people have you seen betray someone good, thinking they were making a power move, only to watch their entire life fall apart? It happens every time. Because betrayal isn't just an action, it's a seed. And once it's planted, it always grows into regret. And now, that's their reality. They see you thriving, glowing, becoming everything they secretly feared you'd become. They see that their betrayal didn't destroy you, it freed you, it elevated you, and that's what haunts them the most. Because in their mind, they thought you would fall apart, thought you would chase them, thought you would crumble under the weight of their disloyalty. But instead, you became unstoppable. And now, every success you have is a reminder of what they lost. Every moment you rise, their guilt drags them down deeper. Every time they hear your name, it burns like fire. Because they know they had something priceless and destroyed it with their own hands. And that's the thing about chosen ones. You don't seek revenge. You don't have to, because karma does that for you. Regret is the slowest, most painful punishment of all. They can't reverse it. They can't undo it. They can't go back to who they were before they crossed you, because that version of them, it only existed because you were in their life. And now they are nothing. So let them sit with their reflection. Let them wrestle with their shame. Let them drown in the weight of their own actions. Because you're done looking back. You are chosen, protected, and destined for greater things. And the ones who betrayed you, they have to live in the shadows of their own choices forever. Number 4, they wanted freedom from you. Now they're trapped in their own chaos. Not every exit leads to freedom. Some doors only open to a prison of your own making. They thought you were the problem, thought you were the weight holding them down, the barrier between them and their so-called happiness. They convinced themselves that if they could just break free from you, they'd finally step into something better, a life without limits, without boundaries, without you. But instead of walking into freedom, they walked straight into destruction. Instead of finding peace, they found war. Instead of leveling up, they lost everything. And now they sit in the very chaos they thought they were escaping. Because here's the truth they never saw coming. You weren't their prison. You were their protection. The storms they now struggle against, those are the same storms you shielded them from. The betrayals, the setbacks, the confusion. All of it was waiting for them the moment they stepped outside the covering of your presence. They thought they could do better without you. Thought life would open up for them once they walked away. Thought the world was holding something greater for them, if only they could escape you. But now they see the truth. They weren't running toward freedom. They were running straight into a trap. Look at history. Look at every person who thought cutting off the very thing that protected them would make them stronger. Adam and Eve thought leaving divine order would lead to power. Instead, it led to suffering. Samson thought walking away from his purpose would give him control. Instead, it led to his downfall. Judas thought betraying his greatest ally would bring him wealth and security. Instead, it brought regret and destruction. And now your enemies are learning that same lesson the hard way. Because you see, they thought walking away from you was a win. But what they never understood is that some exits aren't an escape, they're a curse. They ran straight into the drama, the toxicity, the struggle, and now they have no one left to save them. Because here's what they never saw. You weren't just a presence in their life. You were a protector, a covering, a shield from the very demons that now torment them. You absorbed the chaos. You carried the weight of the burdens they didn't even know they had. Your energy, it kept their life balanced. Your wisdom, it kept them from making the same mistakes they're now drowning in. Your patience, it kept them from self-destructing. And now they have to face the full force of the life they chose. Because the truth is, freedom isn't about escape. It's about elevation. And when they walked away from you, they didn't rise, they fell. They thought they were gaining independence. But what they really lost was protection. And that is their karma. Because every time they struggle now, every time life feels like a never-ending battle, every time they wonder why things keep going wrong, they'll remember you. They'll remember how stable life felt when you were there. They'll remember how easy things seemed when you were in the picture. They'll remember how your presence kept things from falling apart. But they don't have that anymore. Because you're done being anyone's safety net. They didn't want you. Fine. Let them have the chaos they chose. Because while they fight against the very mess they thought you were causing, you're walking into peace, into purpose, into elevation. You were never their enemy. You were their blessing. And now that they're left defenseless, exposed, drowning in their own mistakes, they finally see it. But you're long gone. Number 5. They chose flash over fire. Now they sit in the cold. Some people trade bonfires for fireworks, only to realize that sparks die fast and leave nothing but ashes. They thought they were winning, thought they made the right choice, thought that chasing the fast, the flashy, the fleeting was a sign of intelligence. They walked away from stability for a thrill, discarded loyalty for a temporary high, and traded real gold for glitter. But now they sit in the cold. Because here's what they never understood. Fireworks look good for a moment, but bonfires keep you warm for a lifetime. And you were never just a temporary spark. You were the fire that kept them alive. They were so obsessed with the illusion of excitement that they overlooked the power of consistency. So they ran toward the distractions, ran toward the easy path, ran toward whatever seemed new and exciting in the moment. And at first, it looked like they were thriving. You saw them, didn't you? Showing off, acting like they had made the smartest move of their life. They paraded around like they won, like they had traded up, like leaving you behind was the best thing they ever did. But that was just the illusion. Because time always reveals the truth. And now the rush is gone. The thrill has faded, and all they're left with is the cold, empty reality of their own choices. Look at the way people chase fame, money, and status, thinking that's where fulfillment lies. Look at how many celebrities drown in regret, despite having everything they thought they wanted. Because what they never realize is that flash means nothing without foundation. And you were the foundation. You were the one who kept them grounded, the one who provided stability in their storm, the one who offered something real, something lasting, something that couldn't be replaced by the next shiny thing that came along. But they were too blind to see it. They were too impatient to value what they had. So now they sit in the cold, clutching onto the ashes of their bad decisions, wondering why nothing feels the same, why they still feel empty, why life hasn't been as good since you left. Because the truth is, they didn't upgrade. They downgraded, and they know it. They thought chasing thrills would fulfill them, but now they'd give anything to feel the warmth of your presence again. Because there's something they never considered. Cheap distractions don't last. The person they chose over you, not you. The lifestyle they thought would be better, not fulfilling. The happiness they expected to find, nowhere to be seen. Because you weren't just someone to pass the time with. You weren't just another experience, another phase, another thing to move on from. You were a blessing, a rare soul, a source of wisdom, power, and light. And they threw it all away for something that never had value to begin with. They thought they were choosing excitement over stability, but what they really chose was emptiness over substance. And now they live with it. Look at the way people chase trends, chase clout, chase whatever looks good in the moment, only to end up lost, hollow, and stuck in a cycle of meaningless highs. That's exactly what they did. They weren't ready for real. They weren't built for lasting. So they ran toward the temporary. But here's the thing about chasing the fast and the fake. It always comes at a price. Because when the thrill is gone, when the distractions disappear, when the game they were playing ends, they're left with nothing. Nothing but the cold, bitter reality of knowing they lost something they can never get back. They didn't just lose you, they lost the safety, the peace, the power, and the alignment that came with you. And no matter how much they try to pretend, no matter how much they try to mask the regret with fake smiles and empty distractions, they feel it. Deep in their soul, they know the truth. And you're untouchable now. You're not stuck in their games. You're not waiting for their validation. You're not looking back. Because chosen ones don't chase. They build. They grow. They become legends while the ones who doubted them fade into irrelevance. So let them sit in their regret. Let them stare at the cold reality of their own choices. Let them feel the weight of knowing they traded something priceless for something meaningless. Because you're just getting started. Number 6. They were blessed by association. Now the blessings are gone. Some people think they're favored until they lose the person carrying the favor. They thought the blessings were theirs, thought the doors were opening because of their own efforts, thought the favor that followed them was somehow meant for them. But now nothing is working. Everything that once flowed so easily has dried up. Every opportunity, every bit of luck, every connection they thought was theirs has vanished into thin air. And they're finally realizing the truth. They were never the source. Because here's the reality. They weren't blessed. They were standing next to someone who was. The favor they mistook for their own, that was yours. The open doors, the divine timing, the miraculous opportunities. That was because of your presence. They were simply reaping the benefits of being attached to you. But they never gave credit where it was due. Never realized that their rise wasn't just about them. Never understood that God was blessing them because of you. And instead of appreciating it, instead of respecting the person carrying the favor, they got arrogant. They got entitled. They started to believe they could keep winning without you. And then they lost you. And the moment you walked away, everything changed. The good fortune disappeared. The support dried up. The connections stopped calling. They thought they could replace you, thought they could find someone else to ride the wave with them. But they quickly learned the hardest lesson of their life. Favor isn't transferable. You see, chosen ones don't just exist. We elevate. We don't just enter a room. We shift the energy. We don't just form relationships. We bring divine alignment. And when someone mistreats us, when they betray us, when they take us for granted, the favor that covered them disappears like it was never there. Look at history. Look at people who were surrounded by greatness but failed to honor it. Even in modern times, how many people have you seen fall apart after betraying the very person who brought them opportunities, wisdom, and protection? How many ex-business partners, ex-friends, and ex-lovers thought they could win without the person who was the foundation of their success? And what happened? They collapsed. Because here's the truth. Favor follows the chosen, not the ungrateful. They thought they could continue winning without you, but now they're struggling, wondering why nothing is clicking, why every plan they make falls apart, why the same doors that once opened so easily are now locked shut. And they can't admit it. Oh, they'll pretend. They'll act like everything is fine, like life is still moving forward, like nothing has changed. But deep down, they know. They feel the absence of your energy. They feel the loss of your favor. They know they had something rare and priceless, and they threw it away. They thought they were irreplaceable, but now they see that you were. And now they're trying to figure out how to get it back. Trying to attach themselves to new sources, new people, new opportunities. But it's not the same. Because there is no substitute for a chosen one. And You're thriving, because when a chosen one removes dead weight from their life, the favor only increases. The doors open wider, the opportunities become greater, the blessings overflow, and they get to watch from the sidelines. So let them sit in their regret. Let them wonder what life could have been if they had just valued you. Let them chase empty successes, trying to recreate what was only possible in your presence. Because the truth is, they didn't just lose you. They lost their covering, they lost their protection, their provision, their access to a future that no longer belongs to them. And now they're just another example of what happens when you fumble a blessing that was never meant to come twice. Number 7. They laughed when you left. Now they cry in the silence. Silence is loudest when regret is the only voice left in the room. At first, they laughed, smirked, thought they had the last word, thought cutting you off, betraying you, walking away without a second thought would make them feel powerful. Maybe they even threw a celebration in their mind, convinced themselves that you were the problem, that they were better off without you. They flexed, they posted, they acted like they were winning. But here's the thing about pretending. It doesn't last. Time always exposes the truth. And now the joke is on them. Because that loud celebration, it's gone. The fake confidence faded. The distractions they thought would keep them from feeling the loss, not working anymore. Now all that's left is silence. And that silence, it's unbearable. Because regret doesn't hit all at once. It creeps in slowly. At first, they feel nothing. They convince themselves that life without you is business as usual. But as time passes, they start to notice the absence. The conversations aren't as deep. The energy isn't the same. The opportunities don't flow like they used to. And then, one night, when the world is still and they have nothing left to distract themselves with, it finally hits. You're gone, and you're never coming back. It's funny how the same people who mocked you, dismissed you, made you feel like you were replaceable, are now the ones sitting in the cold reality of their own choices. Because when you left, you didn't just take yourself. You took everything you brought with you. See, chosen ones don't just exist in people's lives. We elevate them. Our presence makes things move, flow, align. And when we walk away, it's only a matter of time before the cracks start to show. They thought you were just another person. They didn't realize you were the foundation. Look at history. Look at how people treated visionaries, leaders, pioneers. They laughed at Steve Jobs when he got fired from his own company, only to beg for his return when they realized he was the genius behind everything. They dismissed Michael Jordan in high school, only to watch him become the greatest of all time. And just like that, they dismissed you. Thought you were a phase. Thought they could replace you like switching channels on a TV. But now, they realize they lost something they can never get back. They scroll through old messages, but can't bring themselves to text you. They hover over your social media, but can't interact. They hear your name in conversations, but don't know how to respond. Because what can they say? I was wrong? I regret it? They won't say it. Their pride won't let them. So instead, they sit in silence, trying to drown it out with fake happiness, meaningless distractions, empty noise. But the thing about silence, it doesn't go away. It lingers, it grows louder, and every second of it is a reminder of what they lost. Because while they were busy laughing at you, you were leveling up. While they were busy trying to make you feel small, you were rising higher than they ever imagined. And now they sit on the sidelines, watching you thrive, watching you glow, watching you become untouchable. And that burns more than anything, because regret isn't just about missing someone. It's about knowing you had something priceless and destroyed it with your own hands. They can't undo it. They can't fix it. They can't go back to the moment they turned their back on you, laughed at you, underestimated you. That moment is locked in time. And now, so is their regret. So let them sit in the silence. Let them drown in it. Let them feel the weight of every careless word, every fake laugh, every dismissive action. Because you don't look back. You don't lower yourself to save people from the very consequences they created. You are chosen. You are favored. And now they get to watch from the shadows as your light shines brighter than ever. Number 8. They thought you'd come back. Now they realize that door is sealed. Some doors don't lock from the outside. They lock from within. And once a chosen one decides, it's final. They thought you were a revolving door, that no matter what they did, no matter how they left, no matter the pain they caused, they could always double back and find you waiting. They thought you were one of those people who never truly leaves, who forgives endlessly, who bends until breaking, who always offers one more chance. But what they failed to understand is this: a chosen one doesn't beg. A chosen one doesn't chase. And once a chosen one decides to close a door, it doesn't just shut, it vanishes. Now they're knocking, but there's no handle. They're screaming your name, but the echoes just mock them. They're standing in front of a doorway that no longer exists. And the worst part? They did this to themselves. See, they thought they were the ones in control, thought they could walk away whenever they pleased, knowing you'd still be there. Thought they could treat you like an option, disappear when it suited them, entertain others, betray you, manipulate you, test your patience, then circle back when it was convenient. They underestimated you. They assumed your love was weakness, your kindness was desperation, your loyalty was stupidity. But what they didn't realize is this: a chosen one doesn't stay where they're not valued. A chosen one doesn't beg to be seen. And a chosen one, sure as hell, doesn't reopen doors that were shut for a reason. And now they feel it. That empty space where you used to be. That silence where your voice once brought peace. That absence where your presence used to hold everything together. They thought they could find another you. They were so sure they could replace what you brought into their life. But now they realize they were wrong. Because people like you, they don't come around twice. How many times have you seen it? How many times have people walked away from you thinking they were moving on to something better, only to come crawling back when they realize they played themselves? It's almost laughable, because at one point, you would have let them back in. At one point, you still believed in their potential, still wanted to give them another chance, still held on to the hope that they'd change. But now, you've outgrown them. Now, you've evolved into a version of yourself that they'll never get to know. Now, you've stepped into your power, and they are no longer a part of the story. They thought you were the same person they left behind. But what they don't realize is, the version of you they abandoned no longer exists. That door they're knocking on, it's not just locked, it's gone. And that's what's killing them inside. Not just that they lost you, but that they lost access to the person you've become. Because while they were busy playing games, you were busy leveling up. While they were out chasing illusions, you were out building something real. While they were so sure they had time, you were already moving forward without them. And now they're stuck in a past that no longer fits, watching from the sidelines as you rise. Regret is a heavy burden, And right now, they're carrying the weight of their own foolishness. They thought they could put you on pause, thought they could walk away and return to the same love, the same loyalty, the same energy. But time doesn't stand still for fools. What they don't understand is, some exits are final, some betrayals can't be undone, some choices rewrite the future in ways that can't be reversed. And this was one of them. Let them stand outside that door, knocking, hoping, realizing too late that they should have cherished you when they had the chance. Because you've moved on, and you're never looking back. Number 9. They bet against you and lost everything. Some people think they're playing chess until they realize they were the pawn all along. They really thought they had it all figured out, thought cutting you off, betraying you, plotting behind your back was some kind of power move. They thought they were playing you like a game, like a piece on their personal chessboard. Thought they were being strategic, calculating, untouchable. But now, the game has turned, and they're looking around, realizing they were never the player. They were the piece being moved. And the board? It was always yours. Because here's what they didn't understand. You are not someone to gamble against. You are not some ordinary person, not some replaceable option, not someone who can be discarded without consequence. You are a chosen one. And when people bet against a chosen one, they don't just lose the game. They lose everything. They thought walking away from you would make them stronger. Thought if they could sabotage you, steal from you, set traps for you, they'd come out on top. But what they failed to realize? You were never playing their game. While they were plotting in the shadows, you were rising in the light. And now they're left with nothing. They thought removing you from their life would bring them peace, power, and control. Instead, it brought them chaos, regret, and a reality they can't escape. Because what they never understood was this: you were the blessing, the foundation, the favor they didn't even recognize. History repeats itself. Look at the ones who bet against greatness. Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple by people who thought they could replace his vision. But guess what? Apple fell apart without him. And when they realized their mistake, when they saw they were lost without the one they tried to destroy, they had no choice but to beg him to return. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine that. Someone looked at one of the greatest players of all time and thought, he's not good enough. But what happened? Jordan became a legend, while those who doubted him faded into nothing. And just like that, your enemies are realizing their mistake. They thought cutting you off was their victory, thought they could walk away and win without you. But life has a funny way of revealing the truth, because now they're struggling. The same success they thought they could achieve without you, nowhere to be found. The same power they thought they had over you, gone. The same influence they thought they'd gain, non-existent. Because the truth is, they never had the power. You did. And now, they have to sit with that realization. You see, when you betray a chosen one, you don't just lose a person, you lose your own destiny. Because chosen ones don't just walk into people's lives without reason. We come with favor, elevation, divine alignment. And when someone chooses to move against that, they don't just lose us, they lose everything that came with us. They thought you needed them, but the truth? They needed you. They thought they were outsmarting you, but now they see that they only outplayed themselves. And that's the thing about karma, it always comes back around. And when it does, it doesn't just whisper, it roars. It doesn't just tap on the door, it kicks it in. And right now, karma has come knocking. They sit there, watching you rise, succeed, glow, all while their own life falls apart. They wonder why nothing is working, wonder why their connections are fading, why doors that once opened for them are now locked. They thought they had it all planned out, thought they were winning the war against you. But what they didn't know, the moment they bet against you, they declared war on themselves. So now they sit in the wreckage of their own choices. And the worst part, they can't undo it. They can't rewrite the past, can't take back the decisions they made, can't go back to the moment before they threw everything away. Because some mistakes, they're permanent. So let them watch. Let them sit in their own downfall, knowing that their biggest enemy was never you. It was their own arrogance. And you're still rising, still thriving, still becoming everything they tried to stop you from being. Because that's what happens when people bet against the chosen ones. They don't just lose, they disappear. Number 10, they miss you, but pride won't let them admit it. Regret is knowing you lost something priceless and pretending it doesn't matter. They feel it every day, every night, in every moment of silence when the distractions aren't loud enough to drown out the truth. They miss you, but they'll never admit it. Their pride won't let them. They'll act unbothered, pretend like losing you was nothing, convince themselves they made the right choice. But deep down, they know they messed up. They know because nothing feels the same. No conversation hits like it used to. No company feels as genuine. No connection fills the void you left behind. They try to laugh the same way, move the same way, carry themselves with the same confidence, but something is missing. You are missing. And that realization, it burns. They thought they could replace you, thought they could move on effortlessly, thought they could swap you out like you were nothing more than an option. But they quickly learned you were never an option. You were the upgrade. And now they're stuck with mediocrity, watching the best thing they ever had walk away. But don't expect them to say it. Don't expect them to admit that their world feels smaller without you. Their ego won't let them. Their arrogance won't allow it. Because saying they miss you would mean admitting that they were wrong, and people like them. They'd rather suffer in silence than admit they fumbled a blessing. So instead, they watch from a distance. They stalk your progress, lurk on your page, ask about you through mutuals, and hope, just hope, that maybe you still think about them too. But the difference? You don't. Because chosen ones don't look back. We don't shrink for people who were too blind to see our value the first time. They miss the way you supported them, the way you made them feel like they mattered, the way your energy lit up their world and made things feel easier, smoother, lighter. And now they sit in a world that feels colder, heavier, more complicated, because the truth is, they were never strong enough to carry themselves without you. You were the one who inspired them, the one who pushed them forward, made them believe in themselves, reminded them of their potential. But instead of appreciating that, they resented it. Instead of seeing you as a blessing, they saw you as competition. Instead of standing beside you, they tried to tear you down. And now they see the cost of their own foolishness. They miss you in the moments they swore they never would, when they sit in a room full of people and still feel alone, when they accomplish something but have no one to truly celebrate with, when they reach out to the replacements they chose over you, only to realize those people don't hold a candle to what you brought into their life. But will they say it? Never. Because that would mean facing themselves. That would mean acknowledging that they weren't as smart, as powerful, as self-sufficient as they thought they were. It would mean owning up to the fact that they ruined something they will never get back. So instead, they'll act like everything is fine. They'll post, they'll laugh, they'll pretend they've moved on. But every now and then, something will remind them of you. A phrase, a song, a moment in time. And for a split second, the mask slips, and reality punches them in the chest. Because the one person who truly saw them, the one person who genuinely cared, the one person who never needed them, but still chose to be there anyway, is gone, and no amount of pretending will change that. This is their karma, not some dramatic, earth-shattering punishment. No, this is worse. This is the slow-burning, inescapable regret that follows them like a shadow. The kind of regret that turns silence into torture. They could reach out, they could swallow their pride and say, "I miss you," but they won't, because people like them always choose ego over truth. So let them sit in it. Let them wrestle with the weight of their own mistakes. Let them choke on the silence they created. Because you're too busy thriving to care. Number 11. You were the only light. They had, now they're lost in their own darkness. The sun doesn't chase those who run from it, and once the light is gone, all that's left is cold. They thought they didn't need you, thought they could walk away, betray you, replace you, and keep winning. Thought your presence was just another convenience, something they could use when it suited them and discard when they were done. But what they never realized, you weren't just a person in their life. You were the only thing keeping them from their own darkness. And now, they sit in it. Because here's the thing about light. It's never loud, desperate, or forceful. It simply exists. It simply warms, protects, elevates, and illuminates everything it touches. But when that light is disrespected, it doesn't argue. It doesn't beg. It doesn't fight for attention. It simply leaves. And once it's gone, all that's left is cold. They didn't think it would feel like this. Didn't think losing you would come with real consequences. They thought they could step away and still thrive, still be happy, still find success. They thought they could replace you with someone else, something else, anything else. But what they failed to understand is this: you were never replaceable. They thought it was you who needed them, thought they were doing you a favor by keeping you around. But now they see the truth. It wasn't you who needed them. It was they who were surviving off your presence, off your energy, off your favor, off the divine protection that followed you everywhere you went. And now they sit in the emptiness. Look at them, struggling, wandering, lost, trying to force happiness, force success, force fulfillment, but it never lasts. Every time they think they're making progress, something pulls them back down. Every time they think they've escaped the void, life reminds them of what they threw away. Because the truth is, you were the only stable thing in their life, the only real thing, the only thing that actually kept them from completely self-destructing. You were the one who pushed them to be better, the one who protected them from their own worst decisions, the one who offered wisdom, love, and strength without asking for anything in return. And they mistook it for weakness. They thought they could betray you and walk away untouched, thought they could win without you, glow without you, succeed without you. But what they didn't understand, your presence wasn't just another relationship. It was divine protection. And when they lost you, they lost that protection too. Look around. Nothing in their life flows like it used to. The doors that once opened effortlessly, now they stay shut. The favor they once had, gone. The people who once surrounded them disappeared. They thought they were choosing something better, something more exciting, something that would elevate them beyond you. But they didn't elevate. They fell. And the irony, you didn't do a thing. You didn't seek revenge. You didn't plot against them. You just moved forward. You just continued to walk in your purpose. You just continued to let your light shine for those who actually deserve it. And now they're haunted by it. Everywhere they go, they feel it. The void, the emptiness, the lack of something real. And no matter how much they try to distract themselves, it follows them. No matter how many new people they surround themselves with, it lingers. No matter how many temporary highs they chase, the low always comes back. Because that's the thing about chosen ones. Once we leave, our absence is felt louder than our presence ever was. Now they sit in the very darkness they once tried to leave you in. And what's worse, there's no way out. They could beg, they could apologize, they could try to come back, but the sun doesn't chase those who run from it. They made their choice, and the consequences? They're permanent. Because some betrayals aren't just about losing a person. They're about losing access to the version of yourself that existed when you were with them. And the version of you that would have given them another chance doesn't exist anymore. So now they sit in the cold, watching you from a distance, regretting, reminiscing, realizing, understanding far too late that you weren't just another person in their life. You were the only light they had. And now they live in the dark, forever. And now the truth is clear. They lost you, and they feel it. They thought they could move on, but regret is a shadow they can't outrun. Let them watch. Let them miss you. Let them sit in the emptiness they created. Because you've already won. If this message hit your soul, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop 77 in the comments. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because chosen ones don't look back, we rise. And trust me, this is just the beginning.